Voiceover. In a small Ukrainian village that was home to 3,000 people, something incredibly heartbreaking happened recently. Ahafia Vishavana was forced to bury her two sons in the space of 6 days. This is the moving story of two brothers who were taken too soon and the nation they were determined to protect. At the small church in Dulaby, a large gathering of the village convened to pay their respects to the older brother and hear the priest speak of his bravery. The sweet scent of incense filled the air as everyone sang funeral hymns. There was barely a dry eye in the church as pallbearers carried Kirillo's body outside. The funeral procession moved through the village to the cemetery, with people standing and kneeling in respect outside their homes as the somber group moved by. Kirillo was to be laid to rest beside his younger brother, Vasil, who had been killed by Russian forces just 3 days earlier. Vasil was 28 and had joined the Ukrainian army 4 years before when he was still just a 20-year-old boy. Kirillo, the older brother by 7 years, had joined the army 2 years later in 2017. He died in an attack on the International Center for Peacekeeping and Security in Yavoriv, a town close to the border with Poland and had hosted U.S. troops until recently. Ukraine was being attacked on multiple fronts, and there seemed to be no end in sight. 1,300 Ukrainian soldiers had been killed in the fighting as of Saturday, and no one wanted to see any more lives lost. There were some talks of peace with Moscow, but in the meantime, the whole country was living in fear. At the Lviv funeral, mourners took turns touching the caskets, holding the 4 boys and leaving them flowers. As the air raid sirens and warnings to take shelter blared from the city hall, the mourners defiantly stood their ground and continued to sing in memory of their lost sons. Kirillo and the other 3 soldiers were buried in Lviv, except for Kirillo, who was taken back to his village and buried alongside his beloved younger brother. The 10 minutes it took to fill in Kirillo's grave had to endure Ahafia's screams of pain and sorrow as she begged God to take her instead. The Ukrainian army officer gave the flag that had been covering Kirillo's casket all day to Ahafia as a symbol of the state her son had served to the end. Mourners said, "God takes the very best ones," as they watched the devastated mother mourn. Kirillo is survived by his wife and infant daughter and is remembered as a loving brother and friend who had dedicated his life to protecting his country. He and Vasil left a legacy of bravery and heroism that people in Dulaby and the whole of Ukraine will not soon forget. May their memory live on.